Hello everyone, this is the guitar accompaniment to the song The Secret of Laughter by Swami Kriyananda. I learned this way of playing it from two videos of Ramesha playing it, which I'll link here, and also using the chords from the Ananda Music Library website. I played it a little too fast in the performance before the tutorial, and I got the first note wrong. It should be an A instead of whatever I sang on the word the. The secret of laughter lies in the laughing, not in the search for joy. It's a swallow winging on the wind, it's innocence in a boy. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Joy in the singing, not in the song sung, welcome but never crave. If you think that laughter lies in things, to things you'll be but a slave. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Joy in the giving, not in the gaining, grasp and you'll never sing. You could win the world and still be poor, win peace and live like a king. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Sing when the sun shines, sing when the rain falls, sing when your road seems strange. In a tempest seize the lightning flash and ride the winds of change. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. Hello everyone, this is the tutorial for The Secret of Laughter. I'm going to move kind of quick because you can pause or slow down the video as you need. So it begins with a G chord or something very similar to it. You don't really need this finger held down. And the plucking pattern is going to be thumb, thumb one, thumb two, thumb. So you would, at the first thumb, you actually pluck the third finger. So I'm going to name that thumb or T, 1, 2, 3. You pluck the third finger at the same time as the thumb. And then you do, that's on the highest and lowest strings. And then you do thumb on the D string. On the G string, thumb on the low E string again. And now, before you do two, you have to have these two fingers held down like a C chord. This third finger stays up here, but these are put down before you hit the two, and then which is on the B string, and then the thumb on the D string. So that's thumb with these off, thumb 1, thumb 2, thumb, and that's one time of doing it. I like to have my finger down a little ahead of time, so by the time I'm doing the third thumb pluck, I've got it down. And then, so that pattern of plucking I'll call the thummy pattern, and it's used in the song, throughout the song. That's repeated 4 times, and on the last time of doing it, right at the end of it, the very last thumb pluck is the first word of the song, and that's an A note. The, and then you go into a G chord with that same thummy pattern, but you don't do that thing where you put down the C chord. go to a D chord, and it's the same thummy pattern, thumb, thumb 1, thumb 2, thumb, but you don't have the 3 pluck simultaneously, you have the 2 pluck simultaneously because the D chord is doesn't have as many strings. Lies in the laughing, and then you go to C, and you can put the third finger is used again, not in the search for, and then back to D, joy, and then this is a new pattern, I'll call it the Plucky Pattern. You pluck thumb, 2 and 3 simultaneously, and then on the lowest note with the thumb and the 2 highest strings, with the second and third fingers, and then you pluck 1 on the G string on this chord. Swallow, that's 1 time, winging, each on a syllable of the, or word of the song. Swallow, winging, syllable. And then you go to a D7 and you do the Plucky Pattern. This time the thumb is on the D string. And then you go to an E minor 7 with the thumb on the low E, 2 and 3 on the highest. Wind. Now this is a dotted 8th note, so you will pluck 1 on the G string, but it happens right after you pluck. The word happens right after you pluck. Wind, it's, and then before you go to the next chord, which is a D7, and it's the Plucky Pattern. Innocence in a, so just to hear what that sounds like. Swallow, winging on the wind, it's in a, on the wind, it's, I don't know if I'm doing it. On the wind, it's innocence in a boy. So that was it. So the last time on the word boy, you do the Plucky Pattern once, boy, and then you do half of it a second time. So boy, and then that leaves a little space before you go into the thummy pattern on G to begin the chorus. And you start singing immediately. D, lie. And then you go into the Plucky Pattern again with the C. Joy will, D7, come. This is a dotted 8th note, so you do that thing where it happens right after you pluck with the 1. Come, 2, and then G with the Plucky Pattern. Any. Now this is, because of the sheet music has an E minor 7th chord slightly off from where it's convenient to play, you have to do kind of a Plucky Pattern and a half. So you, anyone, I just do the 2 and the 3. I think Ramesha did that in the video too, and that kind of frees up the thumb to jump right into plucking simultaneously with the thumb 2 and 3, which is half of a Plucky Pattern on E minor 7. Anyone who's, right on the word who's, and then C, Plucky Pattern, heart has D, Plucky Pattern, learn to, and then G, but you go into the thummy pattern, fly, and then you do that whole chorus again. So then you go back to the second verse with the thummy pattern, and, joy, joy in the singing. And everything is repeated the same, all the chords and how they're played. There's only one slight difference in the timing on the third verse, I think, where if you could win the world and still be poor, win peace and live like a king. It's not a dotted 8th. Win the world, you could win the world and still be poor, win. So each of those is on a pluck. You could win the world and still be poor, win peace and live like a king. And then at the very end, when you're doing the last bit of the chorus, there's a retardando, a slight slowing, and it begins on the word heart. Joy will come to anyone whose heart has learned to fly. And then I do a thummy pattern once, and then a differently. So that is the tutorial. Thank you for tuning in.